Watch manufacturers have been busy lately, released more than an average number of new models and designs. These are the best in my opinion. The Urwerk 150 Scorpion. Felix Baumgartner and Martin Frey, the dynamic duo behind Urwerk, have become known in their out-of-this-world timepieces since the brand's inception back in 1997. Oh my God, it's gonna be 28 years. And I'm gonna tell you, this last edition, I think they knocked it out of the park once again. Again, it takes a fan of Urwerk to understand Urwerk. And of course, you've seen that many of their unconventional designs have been built around the brand's satellite hours complication, also sometimes referred to as the wandering hours, right? Something that goes back to the 1600s. Now, the latest 150 Scorpion offers a reworked satellite complication system, replacing the brand's classic design based on Maltese crosses with a cam system. Just when you think that you cannot be changed or innovated more, here they come. Limited edition, 50 pieces, and price is around 100,000 US. Seemingly, oh my God, it looks more or less the same, but it is not. And how difficult it is to achieve. Yet another watch that seemingly looks like some of the other ones you've seen in the past. That's not to mention how cool the watch looks. Zenith, that is Defy Skyline Americas. Now, the collection for Zenith Defy goes back to 1969. Now, the first model to emerge under the new banner was the Defy El Primera 21, obviously featuring the famed Zenith signature high beat 36 VPH movement. But the latest edition once again presents a unique design specifically for the American market. Lightweight ceramic built featuring a striking two-tone dial and a sunray finish in a metallic green and gold. Zenith has always been priced extremely reasonably, and the retail is only $15,500. People have always asked me, hey, value, I'm looking for value. I tell them, reach for Zenith, reach for Jaeger-LeCoultre. Among other watchmakers out there that make all their stuff in-house, therefore the expensive production is less and they bring that savings onto you. Have they jumped on the ceramic bandwagon like everybody else did? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No, the watch industry has been doing this for many, many, many years. And if you remember my last video, I kind of talked negatively about Blancpain coming out with a ceramic aqualung, and I said they were a minute too late. Well, this is different, right? This is a watch that's new, it's fresh, the dial design is fresh, everything about the watch together works. I give this an A+, and versus the Blancpain that I discussed prior, this is night and day. Moser and Massena LAB Endeavor chronograph compacts. Now, both Moser and Massena LAB have become known for their collaborations. Now, it comes as no surprise that the duo would ultimately find their way to team up together, right? Priced at $27,600. Modern yet vintage vibes. I don't know how to even explain. Like when I first looked at the picture of this watch, I said to myself, what does this watch tell me? When you go into Moser and you start looking at Moser dials, you know, that's the dial that always wows you. In this particular case, they actually subdued the dial a little bit with all the markers on the dial, yet it like makes the point of the dial, but at the same token, it subdues it at the same time, so it's not all about the dial. The chronograph pushers on this watch, the crown, the case, design, everything about this watch, it can be a vintage timepiece and a very modern timepiece. I've handled my fair share of Moser timepieces. I haven't handled this one, obviously, but I can expect a high quality design case, a beautiful dial, and overall ergonomically nice fit on the wrist. Again, it's like a watch I would wear with a pair of shorts or a suit at any given time. I think they did a great job. Girard-Perregaux Casquette 2.0 titanium and gold. In the past 49 years, we've seen Girard-Perregaux adopt the model in countless iterations. But earlier this year, we saw the brand adopt the design in titanium for the first time. Durability, lightweight. Get away with a large watch. The minute you start putting that in steel, or God forbid precious metals, the weight goes up, becomes uncomfortable on the wrist, trust me. It hails from the 1970s with sort of that boxy case equipped with an innovative black and red LED display that would show the hours, minutes, and seconds, day and date at the press of a button. Now, the original model only had a short run for just 2 years, but it was revived back in 2002 with a bold matte black design. Now we get a more refined titanium version with 18 karat gold accent. Price, $5,000. As far as I'm concerned, I am a big fan of reviving things from the 70s, the 50s, the 60s. I think revival timepieces, for me, verify the fact that history repeats itself and style goes around and around. And the same goes for watches. But it looks a lot more space age. We're talking 50s and 60s. Of course, the digital time display throws you back to the 70s. Was it 1972? Hamilton did the first digital display watch, right? If you want to get a throwback watch that doesn't break the bank, I think this one beats every throwback that came out so far this year. Vacheron 20th anniversary Patrimony. I can't believe it's been that long. because the collection goes back to 2004, and it was kind of an instant classic. Now, for the 20th anniversary, they released a ton of new variants, okay? In Watches and Wonders, we saw 2 new additions to the line, including one with a highly accessible sweet spot sizing at 39 millimeters, as well as a more complicated version offering a moon phase complication and a retrograde date. And this month, basically continues the anniversary celebration with a new limited edition collaboration with French designer Ito, priced at $35,000. When I first saw this, I'm not gonna lie, initial reaction was like, it looks like a cheap fake gold watch. And then I took a closer look. Again, I haven't had the ability to see this in person, but as I examined it closer and I saw some live photos from various blogs out there, I realized that this thing is gonna be an absolute knockout in person. Nice large size dress watch where it's not dinky, because this type of watches that are ultra thin also tend to be around that 36 millimeter range, and it just looks very small and dinky on the wrist. But I think they did a tremendous job to cover all bases. I think this timepiece is certainly very appealing. Is this something that I would pay full list for? No, you'd probably find them on a secondary slightly cheaper once enough of them hit the market. Takashi Murakami strikes again. Everybody likes to make fun of Hublot, but yet when the first Murakami came out, everybody was paying over retail for it and still are. So the first one was back in 2021, and since then the duo continued to create a slew of co-designed timepieces, from a turbia version to the biannual only watch auction, and now the pair has done what? They're moving along the trends, right? And then unveiled its 13th and final unique piece along with the matching NFT artwork to be auctioned at Phillips Tokyo Watch Auction on November 22nd. So it's kind of like a full circle moment. The classic fusion Takashi Murakami black ceramic rainbow combines the 45 millimeter black ceramic case, the first ever Hublot Takashi Murakami Classic Fusion Series, with the rainbow petals of the Sapphire Rainbow Edition. But let me tell you something, this watch is going to fetch a ton of money. Jaeger-LeCoultre, the Master Ultra Thin Date with this bluish grayish dials. You guys be the judge. I don't know if that's blue, I don't know if that's gray. Let's call it bluish gray, right? Thin calibers has been in the brand's DNA since the early days. I think it was 2008 when they introduced the Master Collection that showcased the capabilities when it comes to classic complications. Earlier this year, we saw the introduction of the model within the collection, offering a new dial, an upgraded movement, damn near double the power reserve without changing the size and the thickness of the movement. Now the brand goes back to the bases with a new colorway, a standard date version of the iconic model and featuring a handsome blue-gray dial, and more importantly, affordable, a $9,550 retail. Again, it's about as classic as you get. This is sort of like the Vacheron I talked about earlier, but a lot more affordable. And I don't know about you guys, I'm loving the gray dial, the blue dial, whatever dial you want to call it. Let's call it bluish gray. It's a nice classic watch, slim profile, will tuck under your shirt, nice and neat. The concentration here is on simplicity and on the dial. The new Czapek Crossroads, the name of which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, right? Now with the latest iteration of this watch, Czapek gives the model a slightly sportier feel with a crossroad Guya-shaped pattern framed by bold tachymeter scale around the periphery. Now, price tags are high, $41,500. I am a huge fan of Vacheron and their movements. They make movements for various manufacturers to include big names like Richard-Mille and Audemars Piguet. A bit of a bold move with this particular model, because when people think Czapek, they think of their sporty models on a bracelet, right? And they want to come into the world of their own by saying, you know what, we're going to make a sports model that's actually on a strap. Now, a lot of brands do that. What's the big deal? You'd say, well, you're taking a chance every time you break away from the norm. Time will show how well this watch will sell. Again, due to small production and a pretty decent fan base, these things may be all sold out at list, and perhaps there'll be a waiting list for one of them. Panerai Radiomir, Perpetual Calendar GMT Goldtech. I love this fancy name, Goldtech. Sounds fancy, right? The line has largely remained true to its dive and tool launch roots with an oversized, I should say, huge construction. Now, the newest addition is the Perpetual Calendar GMT Goldtech. As the name suggests, the highlight of this variant is the fact that it's gold, right? Automatic mechanical movement that took over 5 years to develop with a high complication segment, allowing for adjustments to the day, date, month, and leap year all through the crown. Not an easy feat to do. $46,000 price tag. I've said this numerous times. I love the fact that Panerai continues to try, and I think they've created an amazing timepiece here, especially a perpetual calendar that can all be adjusted from a single crown. I wish what Panerai would do, cut down on some production, cut down on some of the variations, et cetera, because I think we'll probably see this in different metals, perhaps ceramic, et cetera, et cetera. But like, that's a piece that I wish you would do what you did in the very beginning, and that is to say, hey, we're only going to make 50 of this year or 100 of these this year. Doesn't take away from the fact that this piece is an absolute knockout. Greubel Forsey Nano Foudroyante EWT watch. Now, I actually saw this watch in Geneva. I couldn't show it to you guys because it was still under embargo. Embargo simply means that, hey, we can look at the watch, we can talk about the watch, but we can't put it on Instagram or show it just yet until they actually show it to the world, and they did. And I guess worth mentioning, this was introduced to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Greubel Forsey. Now, the Nano Foudroyante not only introduces the brand's new Foudroyante mechanism, but also marks the brand's first flying tourbillon and the first chronograph, believe it or not. You guys know my opinion of Greubel Forsey, some of the most innovative and best made watches out there that carry a hefty price tag. In the case of this one, it's 465 Swiss, or about $500,000. The traditional Foudroyante manifests itself as a very fast moving hand that usually moves 6 positions in 1 second. And it all depends on the operating frequency of the regulation system. Now, the purpose is often related to measuring the accuracy of a chronograph, but in this particular instance, the mechanism seems to run all the time and is not connected to the chronograph, which doesn't exist in a watch. The novel system they created is a small Foudroyante dial that is mounted on the flying tourbillon and is geared such that it always remains upright, even with the spinning of the tourbillon. With this particular watch, if you look at it, it's all about the horology, because the watch design itself is extremely simple. They're going to be making only 11 of these. Piaget decided to do an Andy Warhol watch. Now, the late Andy Warhol is probably best known for his art films and partying. He was also a pretty big watch collector, and among his collection of his big brand watches were at least 7 Piaget watches, and the most famous of which it was the Black Tie. Black Tie has been revived, refreshed, and renamed the Piaget Andy Warhol Clou de Paris watch. It still continues with the substantial dimensions, with its white gold cushion case clocking at 45 millimeters in diameter. Piaget, their Black Tie collection, they didn't shy away for sizes. These weren't dainty watches, they were pretty big. And this time they decided to decorate the sides of the case with Clou de Paris guilloche motif, or you can just call it hobnail, which according to the brands took 10 months to develop and perfect. Retail price $60,000. If this doesn't scream Andy Warhol era, I don't know what else does. Very, very vintagey, throwback kind of looking watch. Now, how will the general public take to that? You guys can comment below and let me know. So just a quick run through for you guys of what's gone on in the last 30 days, some of the models that I haven't covered in the weekly episodes of Watch News Weekly. Hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.